Recent disclosures regarding Anthony Fauci's funding of the Wuhan lab highlights the dishonesty so prevalent in corporate media reporting. And it also highlights the level of deceit from our government and the intentional inadequacy of the intelligence community's investigation into the virus's origin. The problem is, none of the recent disclosures on Fauci are new information. Information which has been steadfastly ignored and, even more importantly, suppressed. Documents regarding a lab leak in Fauci's role have been readily available and have been reported by ourselves and others long ago. We walk through the large amount of data and information that's been intentionally ignored by the corporate media, the Biden administration, and our intelligence community. Hi everyone, and welcome to Truth Over News with Jeff Carlson and Hans Manka.
Corporate media, along with the DC establishment, have shown a remarkable lack of interest in the vast amount of data on the lab leak that is already available. Documents regarding activities at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the CCP's efforts to cover up the virus's origins, as well as Anthony Fauci's role in funding dangerous gain-of-function experiments in Wuhan, are already available and have been discussed previously on this show and elsewhere. But despite the available evidence, corporate media and big tech chose to push Fauci's natural origins narrative and actively worked to suppress this information. Perhaps the most obvious fact pointing to a lab leak is simply that Wuhan is at least 1,000 miles from natural bat habitats. Additionally, Wuhan was the only location in China where bat virus experiments were taking place. In fact, Wuhan had at least 3 labs conducting such work: the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the Wuhan CDC lab, and the Wuhan University Center for Animal Experiments. The director of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Shi-Zheng Li, herself admitted that she never expected this kind of virus to emerge in Wuhan. When viruses emerged naturally in the past, they emerged in southern China. Coronavirus research has been conducted at the Wuhan Institute of Virology since at least 2007 and has been well documented. Research papers provide direct evidence of increasingly sophisticated gain-of-function experiments. That's a process whereby viruses are deliberately made more virulent in order to predict emerging diseases. Those experiments were carried out at the lab in the years leading up to the pandemic, including a number of experiments specifically designed to make coronaviruses more transmissible to humans. Some of these gain-of-function experiments were also detailed in a November 9, 2015 article about experiments that were being conducted at the Wuhan lab using chimeric viruses in humanized mice.
Notably, in 2014, Fauci's NIAID awarded a $3.7 million grant to the New York-based EcoHealth Alliance, headed by Peter Daszak. According to Francis Collins, the director of the National Institutes of Health, some of the grant funds went to Wuhan as part of a subcontract from EcoHealth. In August 2020, after President Trump canceled Daszak's grant, Fauci inexplicably awarded Daszak a new grant of $7.5 million. Additionally, live bats were kept at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, apparently the only location in Wuhan where bats could actually be found. Thousands of bat samples were brought from southern China to Wuhan by lab scientists. The huge depository of bat samples in Wuhan was confirmed by Daszak in July 2020, when he discussed the early discovery of a close genetic match to COVID-19, noting that it was just one of the 16,000 bats we sampled. We put it in a tube, put it in liquid nitrogen, took it back to the lab, we sequenced a short fragment. Daszak The person through whom Fauci was funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology denied that live bats were kept at the Wuhan lab, claiming that was not the way science worked. Daszak later deleted his tweet denial without explanation. Pictures from inside the Wuhan lab have since emerged, confirming that live bats were indeed held by laboratory staff. The director of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Shi Zhengli, tried to cover up the fact that she had maintained possession of the closest known relative to COVID-19 for more than 7 years. She suddenly renamed the virus in early 2020 at the onset of the pandemic, thereby obscuring that her lab had held a closely related virus. She also obfuscated the virus's origin. The location where she originally found the COVID-like virus was later discovered to be the Mojang mine, where 3 miners had died with COVID-like symptoms in 2012. She would later admit that the Mojang mine was indeed the source of her virus. Xi's research on bat coronaviruses had previously drawn the attention of diplomats at the U.S. Embassy in China. In 2018, after visiting the Wuhan Institute of Virology, they sent a number of cables to the State Department warning of the inadequate safety conditions at the lab. Dr. Fauci's own official representative in China, Chen Ping, had herself sent multiple messages to Fauci's office, all of which should have raised red flags. Chen noted that research papers detailing gain-of-function experiments at the Wuhan Institute of Virology were being published as NIH-funded work. Her inquiries with Fauci's office appear to have gone unanswered. Chen also complained that she was being denied access to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. When, after 2 years, Chen was finally allowed to visit the facility, she was forbidden from taking any pictures inside the lab. Since the start of the pandemic, unearthed video footage taken by Chinese TV crews inside the lab has been used to pinpoint a number of biosafety lapses, as well as the fact that the lab was keeping live bats.
In 2015, an article in the journal Nature specifically warned about the pandemic potential from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Richard Ebright, a molecular biologist and biodefense expert at Rutgers University, presciently stated, "The only impact of this work is the creation in a lab of a new, non-natural risk." At the same time, there were also ominous warnings from the French government, who had initially helped with the construction of the Wuhan Institute of Virology's Biosafety Level 4 lab as part of a joint venture with the Chinese government.